Alright, so one of the main issues that you'll see with our line painter is after a while, you use it so many times, the nozzle and the filter will become clogged. So today what we're going to do is I'll show you how to take it off, clean it out, and put it back on. Usually I'll do this after every home stand, and the best way to do it is just lean back, pull the paddles back, then you'll need a channel locks and another wrench. Figure out how wide you need to get them. Wide. Just comes off pretty easily. So you come in here, we take it off. You see how it's all kind of caked white. This is just the nozzle tip. We'll clean that off a little bit. And then this filter will also need to come out, and you'll see that it's got a bunch of paint around it. And if that gets all the way around, it'll clog it up and you won't get a nice even flow. So just dump that in a little bucket of water, let it soak for a little bit. And then while all of this is soaking, I've already got my nozzle in another bucket of water. We're just going to flush some water through the system and try and clean any paint out that might be in there. And you can do this for as much of that as you want, because all you're doing is just pushing any paint that might be inside the hose out through the system. While I'm doing that, I'll take the filter, try and wash it off. Then put it through a little bit of the water. As you see, it comes out much cleaner and ready to be used again. Same with the nozzle tip. You just run it through some water. If you have a wire brush every once in a while, you can take a wire brush and try and scrape off some of the edges where the paint might have caked on. And once you feel like you got a nice clean stream, you just stop it. Tilt it back, put the filter back in, and we'll hand tighten this. The last step is what we want to do is we're going to want to tighten it with our wrenches and our channel locks again, just to make sure it's nice and tight in there. That's not going anywhere. So after we've tightened that up, we just want to make sure that it's still spraying in the direction we want it to, fitting right or perpendicular to the paddles. So we'll just run our system again. And I'll see that it doesn't, it's hooked up or not quite perpendicular. So what I'm going to have to do is just keep adjusting it so that it will spray straight across those two paddles. But we have a nice even fan of what will be paint, and now everything's nice and clean, so it's good for the next few times we paint. Alright, so another problem that you might run into is after you haven't used this for a couple days, you might have where the pump system is no longer primed, you don't have any water in there. And what happens is when the pump doesn't have any water, it's not able to pull up any of the paint, or in this case water, as easy to go through the system right away. And what we want is the system to remain primed so that it'll just shoot paint or water out right away. You can tell this is the case when you turn it on. Any of the little bit of water that might still be in there gets pushed out, but there isn't any water in this half of the system, so it doesn't want to come through. Now what I'm going to do is, even though there's water already in this bucket, I'm going to take the wand out. So instead of trying to suck water up through the pump and have the motor doing all the work, I'm just going to take the hose and I'm going to shove a bunch of water down into this wand already. Do this for 5 to 10 seconds. This is the point where you feel like you've completely filled that all the way to the motor. I think that's pretty good right now. So we'll put it back in our bucket of water. Let's prime the system. We'll turn on our motor again, and hopefully within a few seconds it should have water coming out of the system again. And there you go. Your system is now primed again. And if you're ready to go paint, you can go ahead and put this wand right into the paint and get it ready to go. Or in this case, we're going to put it back away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to quickly take this out and hook it up here so that we don't lose any of the water that's in our system. Cover up our nozzle, keep it safe. And it should be good for the next time we use it. Thanks, guys. Alright, so just a couple general maintenance things about our Draco. One of them is when we're cleaning it out every so often, we want to check the filter to make sure that there's no gunk or paint chips in the system that'll build up over time. And on this painter, it's right here. So let's take a channel lock. We'll lock in. Filter, wash it off, and then we'll run the system to make sure we flush out anything that might still be in there. We'll turn it on to primer setting. Right now, we'll turn on the pump, and as you can see, water will start to come out, and it's flushing out all the bad stuff from out of there. You can let that run for 10-15 seconds, as long as you want. Got plenty of water in your bucket. And then after you feel satisfied that you're not seeing anything coming out of there, you shut off the pump, put this back on, you're good to go again. Might encounter as you're painting. This has been sitting out in the sun for probably a half an hour while we've been mowing and getting ready to go. And what happens is the nozzle is so fine that it dries out a little bit and the paint will get stuck in there. And when it comes in, you'll see you're not getting an even paint line anymore. So what you gotta do is you gotta turn your nozzle around, face the opposite direction, and spray out everything that got stuck in there. Done that a couple times, go back to the normal direction and your line will be nice and normal again.